Take a glance at the stock chart of a little-known company trading on the Nasdaq, the Metals Company, or TMC. A quick read of their Wikipedia page paints them as just another deep-sea mining venture. But look a little closer, and you'll realize this might be the strangest company on Earth. Co-founded and led by Gerard Barron, TMC has spent over a decade without mining a single ounce from the seafloor, and yet somehow they've raised hundreds of millions of dollars. Why? Because what they're after: polymetallic nodules scattered across the ocean floor. But here's the catch: they're not the only ones hunting for them. As nations and corporations silently battle for control of the deep sea,
There are nodules down there. They're basically lumps of metal that are sitting in the dark on the floor of the ocean.
the race for underwater resources is heating up. And in this quiet, uncharted war for metals beneath the waves could lie the spark that ignites not just one world war, but two world wars. Don't worry, we'll explain this, along with how Donald Trump's recent move can ignite these wars earlier than expected. Welcome to Sleuthing Scams, and today we'll be talking about the reason why World War III might be underwater. It takes a lot of effort, time, research, and heart to bring these short documentaries for you, so kindly hit that subscribe button. To truly understand this, we first need to explore how oxygen is, or at least used to be, distributed in the ocean. Roughly 80% of the oxygen that marine life depends on is produced at the sea's surface. From there, it's divided into three layers. The uppermost layer consumes the majority of it. The middle layer gets what's left. And the third layer, the deep sea, was believed to receive almost nothing. That was the global consensus until 2013. Because that's when marine ecologist Andrew K. Sweetman became obsessed with one haunting question: how do deep-sea creatures survive with such little oxygen? So he and his team decided to dive into the abyss. But nothing could have prepared them for what they discovered. What they found stunned them. Oxygen levels in the deep sea were far higher than expected, in some places even higher than at the surface. At first, they didn't believe it, so they repeated the tests, using different equipment and various instruments. But the results were always the same. The oxygen wasn't just present, it was increasing. What could possibly be causing this? That's when Andrew reached out to his longtime friend, the man some call the Einstein of the sea, Dr. Franz Geiger. And the moment Geiger heard the data, he was reminded of an old experiment he had conducted years ago. An experiment where he proved that under certain conditions, deep-sea water reacting with rusty metals could actually generate electricity, like an underwater battery. And that's when their focus shifted to these deep-sea rocks, polymetallic nodules. These rocks could very well be the most precious matter on the planet. But we'll get to that part of the story soon. These mineral-rich nodules take centuries to form, layer by layer, deep under the ocean. They're packed with manganese, cobalt, and nickel. And these minerals are crucial for EV batteries, wind turbines, smartphones and laptops, solar panels, and more importantly, clean energy storage systems. Curious about the unique behavior, the scientists ran an experiment. And yes, they were right. The nodules generated 0.95 volts of electricity. That's how oxygen was being released. For the scientific community, this was a breakthrough. But for TMC, it was a nightmare. As we mentioned earlier, TMC had spent millions and spent over a decade preparing to mine these nodules. But Geiger's experiment opened up a haunting question. Are deep-sea species depending on these nodules for survival? What if removing them collapses an entire ecosystem? What if we lose countless species before we even discover them? It took years of research and countless validations, but eventually scientists confirmed, yes, under certain conditions, this phenomenon could produce oxygen. And finally, in 2024, the peer-reviewed journal Nature Geoscience officially published the findings. But almost immediately, TMC fired back. They released a rebuttal, citing their own raw research. They argued that they'd spent 12 years and millions of dollars working towards sustainable, ethical deep-sea mining to extract minerals for clean energy. While the scientific world and corporate giants clashed, Mr. Donald Trump got re-elected. And with that, the entire game changed. Earlier, we talked about 2 world wars. The first one will be between human ambition and deep-sea life. A clash between our hunger for more minerals and the silent, unseen creatures living far below the surface, untouched by noise, light, or chaos. Back in the 1980s, a deep-sea mining experiment was conducted. Now, over 45 years later, researchers report that the ecosystem still hasn't fully recovered. And if that was just a test, imagine what large-scale mining could do. It could be catastrophic. It could erase entire ecosystems and countless species that we haven't even discovered yet. First, everything sucked up along with the nodules will perish. Second, a massive cloud of sediment will be released, suffocating marine life and disturbing a fragile balance we barely understand. Third, the noise pollution. We must remember this is not our world. Down there is an alien universe. The vibrations and waste from mining machines could devastate whatever delicate life still remains. But there's another side to the story. These nodules are packed with critical minerals that could massively speed up our shift to green energy. To fully decarbonize the planet, we'll need 6 times more metals than we currently have access to. And when you look at how we're currently getting these minerals, by tearing down rainforests and digging massive open-pit mines, deep-sea nodules start to seem like a more efficient, maybe even cleaner option. So both sides have powerful arguments. But still, most of the global scientific community incline towards the mindset that humans could slow down and do a lot more research before diving this deep into the ocean, because the impact would be irreversible. You might be wondering, if there are trillions of dollars worth of minerals hidden in the deep sea, why hasn't any country started mining them yet? The answer lies in a global agreement known as UNCLOS, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. In 1982, the UN came together to draft new laws for how the ocean should be used. They introduced 3 core principles. It should benefit all humankind, and it should consider the special interests and the needs of developing countries, and above all, ensure the protection of the marine life. But here comes the twist. This treaty was signed by more than 100 countries, but there was one big player who didn't sign it, the United States of America. And in April 2025, Trump signed an executive order to fast-track deep-sea mining called Unleashing America's Offshore Critical Minerals and Resources. Some days later, the government received a request for license to explore and to mine from the Canadian firm, the Metals Company, including areas outside the US's jurisdiction. If the US were to issue a permit for deep-sea mining, it would directly clash with the international laws that govern international waters.
On their watch, that lawlessness might come back to the high seas.
In the eyes of the global community, they would essentially be acting like outlaws. And in today's world, where even the smallest spark can ignite global conflict, a $16 trillion treasure hidden beneath the ocean could be the trigger for a war that rattles the entire planet. With a hope for a better world, it's time for us to call it a day. We do hope that you liked our video and found it informative. Kindly hit that subscribe button and don't forget to click the bell icon. Your valuable suggestions are very important to us, so do post them in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next video.